Do you like taking your car to a shop for maintenance or repairs?
Are you kidding?
Exactly. That's why people all over Sacramento are using RepairSmith. RepairSmith will do all your car maintenance or repair in your driveway, safely with no contact.
RepairSmith works on my car at home?
Anything your car needs. Oil change, battery replacement, or brakes, you name it. From regular maintenance to major repairs, RepairSmith will do it all at your home.
What kind of cars?
All of them. RepairSmith has specialists for every make, year, and model of car. Foreign or domestic.
Expensive?
No. You'll pay the same you would at a local shop. And you even get a guaranteed quote before you book. No surprises.
Life just got a whole lot easier.
To get a free quote, plus $25 off your repair, and to schedule at-home car repairs, go to RepairSmith.com and enter code QUOTE. That's RepairSmith.com, code QUOTE.
That are available, and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-519-6360. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-519-6360 for the help that you need.
Right. Ah, yes, the open road. Just you and your hunger. And if you listen carefully, you can hear what it's craving. Bacon. Extra bacon. 4 strips of crispy bacon stacked on a charbroiled beef patty with melty cheese. Satisfy your bacon craving with the Bacon Beast Burger or the Bacon Beast Burrito with melty cheese for breakfast. Try the new Bacon Beast menu from Carl's Jr. Feed your happy. Available for a limited time at participating Carl's Jr. restaurants. Bacon Beast Burrito available during regular breakfast hours. Price participation may vary.
During times when they really can't speak. She says her gums are irritated. Is there anything you can do? Absolutely. You can try new Crest Advanced Gum Restore. Yep, new Crest Advanced Gum Restore. It detoxifies below the gum line to restore your gums back to health in just 7 days. Exactly. Healthy gums, healthy mouth.
New Crest Advanced Gum Restore. Healthy, beautiful smiles for life.
You watch me live on TV.
And I'm the girl from that alien movie you watch on demand. Our worlds have been brought together thanks to DirecTV Stream.
Why are you whispering?
Because the alien will hear us.
Maybe let the alien know you can get DirecTV Stream with no annual contract.
He seems pretty excited by that, actually.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at DirecTV.com.
Wires, high-speed internet, incompatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
A hero. Come on. And a villain.
You won't get away this time.
Face off in a Nissan sales event ad.
Wait, what?
Starring the Nissan Rogue.
Oh, nice.
And featuring more power than a CR-V.
See ya.
You won't want to miss any of the action at the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event.
Right now, get 0% APR financing for up to 72 months on 14 models. Availability is limited, so contact your local dealer for inventory information and shop NissanUSA.com today before these offers get away.
Coming in hot! The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild has arrived on Disney+.
Holy moly, that's it!
History's greatest heroes are back.
Crash and Eddie went back to the Lost World.
Their only natural defense is to play dead.
Well, in that case, we're in huge trouble.
In an all-new movie event.
Our skills are strong.
No, your aroma is strong.
Gas don't phase us, dude.
The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Now streaming only on Disney+.
Get a COVID-19 booster. They help keep you and others safe from the virus and its variants this winter and beyond. If it's been at least 5 months since your last dose of Pfizer or Moderna, or at least 2 months since your last dose of J&J, it's time for a booster. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find a booster near you. Let's keep our immunity strong. Get your booster and flu shot while you're at it, too. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
There's never been a better time to transfer your prescriptions to Walgreens, because Walgreens now accepts all Medi-Cal members with prescription services built for your schedule, like 90-day refills and pharmacy chat. Walgreens makes keeping up with your medications simple. So tell your neighbors, the delivery driver, even that miniature bulldog next to you on the 405. So cute. Walgreens is accepting all Medi-Cal members. Transfer your prescriptions today.
Talk to a pharmacist to see if your prescriptions qualify for 90-day refills.
The ordered one too many deal at McDonald's. But luckily for you,
Whoa, is that McDonald's?
there's always someone around
And you got extras?
to help take it off your plate.
Yeah, I like some.
There's a deal for every helping hand at McDonald's. Like our 20-piece Chicken McNuggets for just $5. Or get 40-piece Chicken McNuggets for the whole family. And pair it with an any-size Dr. Pepper for just $1. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer.
But did you know the early bird also gets access to cleaner energy? Because clean energy is in shorter supply from 4 to 9 p.m., just when Californians start using more power. So, if you run your dishwasher or laundry in the morning, you're helping California fight climate change. So remember, power down from 4 to 9 p.m. Keep it golden. And learn more at energyupgradecalifornia.org/radio.
Mido, a new way to play the lottery in California. Mido Lotto is a simple mobile app that lets you safely order lottery tickets right from your phone. Mido skips the line to get your tickets, then stores them in a secure digital wallet so you can't lose them. No more cash at the corner store, and Mido gives you automatic winning alerts to save you time. Mido allows you to easily create groups so you can pool your tickets with friends, family, and your favorite coworkers. Right now, for a limited time, Mido Lotto is giving you a free Mega Millions ticket just for downloading the safe, secure, and convenient app. It's so easy. All you need to do for your free ticket is simply dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword lottery. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message with more information from iHeartMedia. Dial pound 250 and say lottery. That's pound 250, keyword lottery.
Start your day with a better breakfast and get a free drink with any of our morning-making breakfast sandwiches. That's your favorite drink in a Wendy's cup, free. Fresh brewed coffee, free. Diet Coke, free. Vanilla Frosty-Chino, that's cold brew plus Frosty Creamer plus free. So don't sleep on this deal. Get any size drink in a Wendy's cup free when you buy any breakfast sandwich. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only. Participating Wendy's. On the card only. Offer valid upon request on lowest price qualifying item. Not valid for third-party delivery.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C Sports. This is Charlton of Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports. That includes me. I want to say today is a beautiful February the 10th, 2021. Grando Deportes, bonjour. I love saying welcome to the show. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, just tell them Charlton, Big C Sports System, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, you can follow Big C Sports on 23 podcast applications all over the universe, from Google, Alexa, Spotify, Spreaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeart-Radio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, and also Podchaser. Yeah, you know I gotta catch my breath. Give me some praise for learning how to count to 10. I think I learned it when I was in kindergarten. Or sooner. Sooner before I even got to kindergarten. Learned how to count to 10. But you can also follow Big C Sports Podcast, Geosafon Podcast out of London, England, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper Podcast, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, and allfeeds.ai.com. Give me some praise for that. Allfeeds.ai.com. A lot of applications for Big C Sports Podcast. Really do appreciate that. Also streaming on 4 TV applications all over the universe. You can follow Big C Sports streaming, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. And listen to that. A lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Give that some praise. Come on, y'all. Give us some praise, praise, praise. Man, it's hot in California. It feels like summer or at least spring, even though we're still officially in the wintertime for Northern California. But it's all fair and love and war. I love paying homage to my family legacy on Big C Sports Podcast. My great-grandmother on my mother's side called her Mama. Wonderful, wonderful woman. making sure the family stayed together, always had food in our belly, lots of love all over the household. And then my great-grandfather Pop, former Negro League baseball player and a churchgoer known for making the best moonshine in the universe. I gotta get out some praise. That's so funny. Always said, boys, get out of that barn before lightning strikes. Oh, man. Just a wonderful, wonderful man. Really do appreciate. Always let us go out and play with the fruit trees and sometimes pick the leaves off of them. He said, no, pick the fruit off, not the leaves. Anyway. And then my grandmother, Madea, just a wonderful, beautiful person, intelligent, industrious, hardworking, a seer, could see people, take a look at people and tell you everything about that person. It's amazing how she could do that. Really do appreciate her with all of her love. And then my grandfather Hezekiah, just another wonderful gentleman. Really do appreciate all the things I've learned from my family. And my beautiful mother, who just a wonderful mother, started a Head Start program in Northern California, a food program, and also helped the Little League, think about it, helped win the Little League championship for the universe. Give Mama praise. A Head Start program, a food program, and led the Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Give Mama praise, praise, praise. Always stand, rise, and shine. Always stand, rise, and shine. And then on my father's side, the patriarch of the family, Albert Curry, wonderful, intelligent man, a pastor, had 2 churches in Oakland, California, built the 3rd one in Central California. Also had 2 service stations, owned 2 service stations in Oakland, California. Really do appreciate him. Very smart, savvy, hardworking businessman. And then my grandmother, Alberta Curry, helping my grandfather with the churches and also the service stations in Oakland, California. Always doing whatever it takes to keep the family together. Really do appreciate that. My father, retired Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, would make sure the planes could fly high so we could all stay safe. Always saying, develop your mind to its highest extent. My brother Todd, with a bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Again, one of our favorite shows of Pulp Fiction, the scene where Vin Rames told Bruce Willis, in the 4th round, your butt goes down. That stinging sensation, you feeling? That's pride messing with you. And he said, blippity blip, pride. Oh, man, had a lot of fun with that. Really do appreciate that. I love always paying homage to my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. A college graduate, double majors with honors, graduated college in 3.5 years with honors. Really do appreciate Daisy. Very smart, hardworking, would help me set up for Big C Sports when coaches would come to the West Coast, getting things set up for paraphernalia and merchandising. Really do appreciate that. And then my beautiful son, Malcolm, the most beautiful son in the history of the universe. A college student, very smart, strong-willed. I'm telling you, Malcolm, the movie Wakanda Forever, called Black Panther, always keep the family strong. Really do appreciate that. And I think about the times that Malcolm is all over NBA. I know he's watching a lot what's going on today with all the trades I'm going to talk about coming up on Big C Sports Podcast. Sends me NBA stats all over it, knows the NBA inside and out. Really do appreciate that. And then my partner, Big C, with all of his knowledge and the passion, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Give everybody some praise. Come on, y'all, give it praise, praise, praise. I love mixing church. Let's go to church. Could you imagine if TD Jakes had a sports show? Get your stick together. It's all fair and level war. Kind of challenging TD Jakes to a lot of things that I've learned growing up. But as I always say, when I was a young boy, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, Pop, he would come home from church with his friends from the church. You'd always hit them out in the barn going, let's get ready to rumble! Well, welcome, somebody stole that, right? But welcome to the show, Big C Sports Podcast, ESPY-nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. All I got is my higher self and God's voice. All fair and level war. I walk by faith and not by sight, and I talk by faith and not by sight. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast the shows. The sound effects are done by what's provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I know we could, coming out of all the junk we've been through with COVID. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling, the play-by-play. My goodness, a lot of good teams have changed their territory now. And now you have maybe, just maybe, that Curry, Steph Curry and Seth Curry may be able to play each other in the NBA Finals, but it could have been that way had Curry stayed with the Philadelphia 76ers, but now also going to the Brooklyn Nets. I'll talk about that and how I think it's going to impact people coming up too. But that's a lot of stuff. But I still want to pay homage when I say it doesn't matter now whether it's Brooklyn or Golden State. Curry for 3. Everybody has their own thoughts about who had the bigger trade, whether it's Philadelphia or Brooklyn. All friend, love, and war. And then I upload the show. It goes out to 23 multiple podcast platforms all over the universe. I'd never missed a show since starting Big C Sports September 12, 2015. And then think about it. My opinion, Big C Sports is the only sports show in the universe that honors God every single show, not just saying God bless you, but I like to give out scriptures. My favorite scripture are one of them. Growing up, I often heard, growing up, is Genesis chapter 13, verse 15. It says, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. And the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2 said, we have not because you ask not. If you want something, just ask and give the good books and praise. Come on, y'all, give it praise, praise, praise. Don't just wait till you need something. It's always good to give out some praise when you want something to do. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3. God said, let there be light. Open your cell phone or electronic device and say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see our apps pop up all over the world. Really do appreciate that, the way things have grown. I always talk about some of my affiliations have grown in 2022. And if you look at the Forbes magazine, even going back over the last decade, if you look at the top sports agents, in 2021, they created over $41.2, come on now, $billion in contracts. That's a lot of money paid out in sports agents, and part of that sports marketing agency is what I'm going to be getting my certification for in 2022. Really do appreciate that. And just what I say is so many people arguing and saying, how can we fix the NFL and even NBA, Major League Baseball for equality in the hiring process? And the sports marketing agency industry, it's a tough business like anything else is, but the world's leading sports agents total contracts more than $41.2 billion, netting almost $2 billion in commissions. And there's a lot of guys who have gotten into that industry. A lot of African Americans have gotten into the industry because obviously you talk about the problem with people finding work in the NFL, and the owners oftentimes are looking for someone who looks just like them. And that's just part of human behavior, the tribal instincts that a lot of us have. Well, I can't even say that's true, so I think I'm going to correct myself now. If it were all about tribal instinct and wanting to hire people who look like you, then the NFL would be about 90% Caucasian, and we know that's not the case. We know that. So I'm wrong. I want to correct myself on the air. For people that say, oh, people just want to hire people who look like them, that's not true. The league has 32 teams, and we're coming up on Super Bowl 56 on Sunday. And if you have 32 teams, that means 32 of the owners, one is not Caucasian, and that's Shad Khan for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then the Buffalo Bills, they also have a woman who's part of the ownership, not a sole owner, but part of the ownership. So you can say that 30 of the 32 owners of NFL football teams, they're Caucasian. But that myth that people say, oh, they want to hire people who look like them because they grew up around people who look like the person they see in the mirror, that's not true at all. If that were the case, the NFL would be about over 99% white. That's a fact. But it's not. It's 75% African American. So the fact that people can hire someone who does not look like them, I've already busted that myth today, my own myth. So I remember, I love listening to Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, just one of the most intelligent men that I've ever heard speak. And I even met him in a couple times. And then you hear about Harry Edwards and people that are on the fringe and come on for a show and talk about things. But Big C Sports, I've never had to go to men or women to ask them their thoughts. I just ask people to read the Kerner Commission. It was written, they've had two of them. The first one was written it was commissioned by President Lyndon Baines Johnson over a half century ago. And it talked about some of the issues with race in the United States. So they can study this issue over and over and over again. There's a new project called the 1619 Project. I think it should be must read for everyone, especially going back to college. It's about how you fix things. It's an x-ray of what happens as people interact with each other on a micro and a macro perspective in the United States. So all the talk about they can only hire people or they only feel comfortable hiring people who look like them, that's a lie. Most of the NFL does not look like the people who own the teams. I know there's an opportunity for the Denver Broncos opening up where Byron Allen's part of their bid. Also Robert Smith. There's a lot of other people who will come forward. And you don't have to have all the money on your own. People partner to get money together. Al Davis, when he bought the Raiders, he didn't buy it all by himself. Neither did Jerry Jones buy the Dallas Cowboys all by himself. They have partnerships, and then they tend to buy people out. Even the Golden State Warriors for NBA in San Francisco, Lacob doesn't own them by himself. There's a lot of partnerships that are a part of it. Sacramento Kings, same thing. And you have the Buss family in Los Angeles. But I mean, not everybody has that. Bowmer has the Clippers, and they have their own deep pockets. But a lot of organizations, they start out with ownership groups, not just one person. So that's also part of what's going to happen in the world of trying to fix what's going on with the hiring process. But I just want people of color to look at another avenue that's growing by leaps and bounds, and that's sports marketing agency. And when you look at it, it is amazing that industry has created quite a few millionaires in the industry of representing athletes. And we know when athletes are signed, look at the contracts that James Harden has signed. And that was produced by an agent. He didn't do it by himself. So really want to just make sure people can look at that too. It's not that people hire people who look like them. If that were the case, the NFL would be 99% white, and it's not. You just got to open your heart and do what it takes to give your organization the best chance to win. And if you hire people on a fair footing, then do that. I'm sure it can be done because it's been done on the playing surface, and people just got to be willing to do that and be open to it and not say that it's not possible, because anything's possible. What did the great Kevin Durant say after the Celtics won a championship? Anything's possible! Okay, anything's possible. I think that's funny. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. It's all possible. And speaking of possible, I want to thank the California Lottery for Powerball and Mega Million, as well as Fantasy 5 and Super Lotto. If you are out there and you're betting more than you can afford, whether it's gambling or playing lottery, just be careful. I know the NFL is coming up, Super Bowl 56 in beautiful Southern California, and they have prop bet specials all over the place. Also, people are putting up a lot of money to decide who they feel is going to win the Big C game. You know, the Big C game with the Bengals and the Rams, they're all exotic beasts, if that makes sense to you. But Coach Mariucci, former coach of the 49ers, now I believe he works in media with the NFL Network, did a commercial about people who have gone in too far. If you need help with your gambling issues, pick up the phone and call 800-GAMBLER. That's 800-GAMBLER, Gambler, and you can try to get some help. And I know there's oftentimes, they're even doing commercials on Bitcoin and how you can buy Bitcoin and it goes up, but it also comes down. And we have this full legalization of betting across the country. Now, the Supreme Court made that possible on May 14, 2018. And when you think about it, it ruled that the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act is unconstitutional, changing that the future of sports betting in the United States is able to expand. They've expanded it. So just be careful. You just got to be careful. There are always winners and losers when it comes to sports betting. With every United States now available to offer sports betting, professional sports owners are among the big winners. And when you hear that Brian Flores was allegedly being told to throw games and you'll make $100,000 every game that you throw, well, throwing games is illegal, just like insider trading is illegal. But if you're going to pay out to lose games, makes you wonder, how did the Cincinnati Bengals get to Super Bowl 56 and they had to travel for all of their games except for the first playoff round against the Las Vegas Raiders? I mean, it happens. Look at Gonzaga, how they were number one in the country in basketball last year from start to finish until they got knocked off by Baylor. I mean, who knows? But you got to be careful. Sports betting legalization, how we got here, there's a path to legalize sports betting. And when Congress gets involved in it, you would think that Congress is getting also involved in how we fix, it's not a bad word, discrimination. It's been part of the American fabric since the 1619 Project. So I hope that people just don't get in deeper waters than you can afford to, especially young people. It's not always glitz and glamour, if that makes sense to you. I also want to say thank you to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. I have a family full of military veterans and my grandparents, my father, brother, and also nephew, as well as friends in every branch of the military service. You know anyone going through issues, they will stand on their head to help you get help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net and give that some praise. Come on, y'all, give it some praise, praise, praise. Everybody needs help. First responders are there to help everybody who can need help. I really appreciate, as part of Big C Sports, being able to give out that PSA. I think it helps a lot of people. Just don't forget to make the call. Also want to say thank you, Budweiser Zero. Oh my goodness, I love when I say this. It may not be on the palate of every sports fan. It has 0% alcohol, 100% honest game. Sports fans, if you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. And especially for Super Bowl 56, a bingo and a ram are exotic meats. So that's the Big C Burger. When you think about that, think about Big C Sports when you're watching the exotic Super Bowl. And I hear it tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hand. I'll be remiss. The reason I talk so fast is because I can't get enough of that Big C coffee. It only comes in one size, extra large. The best part of waking up is Big C in your cup. And it tastes so good. It's good to the last drop. I really love the Big C coffee, and that's part of why I talk so fast. Been drinking a love for that Big C coffee really gets you going. Really do appreciate that. Just don't drink too much of it, if that makes sense to you, and don't jump in the lake. When I come back, gonna talk some more about what's going on with the NBA. There's been a lot of things that happen at the trade deadline. Could you imagine if anything could knock Super Bowl 56 out of the headlines? Yeah, it's the NBA. gonna talk about that as I take the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of the former California governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the Terminator, I'll be back. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 23 podcast applications all over the universe, and even on 4 TV applications. Really do appreciate that. Are you ready for some NBA basketball? Don't know who's playing on what team anymore because a lot of trades went down. The deadline was today, and it's already happened. The 2022 NBA trade deadline. What a way to keep up with the Super Bowl 56 and stealing some of the headlines away. You have some big winners and maybe some people call losers. I don't think there's any losers when you have an NBA contract. When you think about it, we build up so much about who the best players are and what team would do better. A lot to discuss about what's going on in the NBA. I'm sure people have followed it most of the day, especially if you're in the NBA. If you're in the world of the NBA basketball, as I like to say, the NBA basketball universe. Got to get my producer to wake up a little bit. It's all fair and love and war. He needs some of that Big C coffee. He needs some of that coffee. But I'm telling you, the 76ers, the Philadelphia Freedom, they pull off a blockbuster trade for James Harden. And wow, have they gotten better? Because Joel Embiid likes to hold the ball, so does James Harden. Who's going to win that battle? You have Kristaps Porzingis headed to the Wizards for a package that includes Spencer Dinwiddie. And then you have the Boston Celtics. They acquire Daniel Theis from the Rockets for a Dennis Schroeder. Now the Bucks, the defending NBA champion, can't wait to see that game tonight. Tips off very shortly down in Phoenix where they take on the Phoenix Suns, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Pistons, the Clippers, and the Kings. They make a 4-team trade, and that's going to be interesting to see which team actually benefits from that. Obviously, you got to know that the Bucks are strong. They're a strong team. The Clippers, did they just get better? How about the Pistons or the Kings? We'll see about that as they get used to each other. The Raptors, they send Goran Dragic to the San Antonio Spurs for that young. And then the Suns acquire Torrey Craig from the Pacers. It's going to be an amazing run for the end of the NBA basketball season to see who gets into the playoffs. The Celtics trade Josh Richardson to the Spurs for Derek White. And then they also moved P.J. Dozier and Bol to the Magic in a cost-cutting deal. That's going to help them save some money, as if NBA owners need to save money. The Utah Jazz got a big win over Golden State last night. I think it was Golden State's worst loss in about two, I would say 2 decades, really. But when you think about it, it's going to happen. They've stopped the 9-game win streak. But the Utah Jazz, they also acquired the Blazers' Alexander Walker, and they have a lot of good things. They have Hernan Gomez, a 3-team deal with the Spurs. The Kings gave up Halliburton. I thought that was a mistake. They got Sabonis. I thought Halliburton could have been a star for the Sacramento Kings, as well as Buddy Hield. I don't know why they didn't have that. They could have had that work out. But either way, be that as it may, the Pelicans, they land McCollum from the Blazers, and that leaves Dollar Dame wondering what's going to happen with him. It was a 7-player deal. I don't know if Portland gets any better, though. The Pacers send LeVert to the Cavaliers for Rubio and also some picks. The Clippers acquire Powell and Covington from the Blazers and some trades. Now, the Knicks land Reddish from the Hawks for Knox-protected 2022 first-rounders. There's so much going on, but I really, for my money, who gets the Big C burger? It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meats? I'm going to say that the Philadelphia 76ers, maybe, did they get better with James Harden? Every team that James Harden has played on has been competitive, but they haven't won a championship. Maybe this is his best chance. And when you think about it, Simmons, actually, I think he's going to be okay because now he can pass the ball off to Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant when they get back. He doesn't want to shoot the ball anyway, but he's a great defensive rebounder, more so than Harden was. But when you think about a young man never wavered from his desire, he did not want to play in Philadelphia anymore and was willing to endure a lot of criticism. But Philadelphia is a tough city, but so is Brooklyn. When you think about the threats and profanity from the fans in Philadelphia, along with the financial losses throughout the fines and the withheld paychecks, in order to force a change of scenery. And he got that now. But when you think about the 76ers and president of the basketball operations, Daryl Morey, who boldly claimed that he was willing to wait 4 years for a favorable trade, and now that Simmons is headed to a contender, and I'm thinking, tell you something about Philadelphia, it's not the buzz you have with Dr. J or Allen Iverson was doing their thing. It might be bigger to have an all-star. I don't know, maybe future Hall of Famer James Harden. You got to win a big game first, get in the finals first and win the finals. Maybe, he's all-star. He's a Hall of Famer in my opinion. But after all if you can't win with Kevin Durant, second time with Kevin Durant, OKC, they lost to Miami in the finals. And then with Kevin Durant last year, they were knocked out by the Milwaukee Bucks. So can you win with Joel Embiid, who's not as talented as Kevin Durant, in my opinion? He's good, different positions, but still, Durant has an all-around game. But if you can't win with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, how are you going to win with Joel Embiid? Just a thought. It's just a thought. When you think about the Sacramento Kings, Houston Rockets, Indiana Pacers, now the Kings showing interest in Simmons. Was a lot of talk about that, but he's with a contender now over in Brooklyn. He's with a contender, and it's going to be a Brooklyn Nets team that if you get Durant healthy, still has a chance to win the Eastern Conference title. And once you get to the finals, any man can have a big game and turn things around. So when I think about that deal, who got better? Was it Philadelphia or was it Brooklyn? I guess it depends on Durant, how healthy Durant is. If Durant is healthy and you're down NBA Finals Game 7 and you have 7 seconds on the shot clock, if you have Joel Embiid on the court or Kevin Durant on the court, who do you want the ball to go to? Down by 1, say it's 100-99. Or as some announcers say, you're down by 1. The score is tied at 100. Right? You got to have a prop bet in there somewhere. But if you're down by 1, 100-99, Game 7 NBA Finals, 7 seconds left on the clock of a Game 7. Do you want Joel Embiid with the last shot or Kevin Durant? I think Kevin Durant, about 75% of the time, would be the guy that takes that last shot. So wherever Durant goes, I think that team has a better chance to win and be in the finals. If I look at it, Durant was in the finals with the OKC. Durant was in the finals with the Golden State Warriors, won 2 championships. They lost when he was in the finals with OKC, but they lost to the Miami Heat. And they were just one big toe from being in the finals last year, taking on the Phoenix Suns. When's the last time Joel Embiid played in the finals? Never has. How about James Harden? He's only played in the finals when he had Kevin Durant. So when you look at where they've been, sometimes the past tells you a little bit about the future. I would rather have Durant taking the last shot over Harden 9 out of 10 times. I'd rather have Durant taking the winning shots over Joel Embiid maybe 7 out of 10 times because Embiid can get in the paint, but so can Durant. So I don't know how anyone says Durant's team is a second option compared to what Joel Embiid and James Harden can do for you. But I think about the 76ers organization. They have the guy they wanted, and they got Harden, and Harden has them. Harden won it out of Houston. He also won it out of OKC when he was there, and now he won it out of a team in the Brooklyn Nets that everybody thought was going to be the best team in the Eastern Conference when they got there. For whatever reason, didn't happen. But now what do you get with Simmons? Simmons got what he wanted. He got out of Philadelphia. A lot of people don't like Philadelphia because their fans are pretty rude. But not only did the 76ers add James Harden, but if he's going to be the same James Harden that's never happy, as great as he's been, he just left a better player in Durant, in my opinion, to join Joel Embiid. You just left a player in Durant that's played in 3 NBA finals. Actually, 4. 3 with Golden State, but he tore his Achilles in the last one against Toronto, and 1 with OKC. You left a guy that's been in 4 NBA finals. That tells you a clue he knows how to get there. To join with Joel Embiid, who hasn't been to any finals, and you can't hold the ball till 5 seconds on the clock if you got Embiid need to make his moves with about 10 to 12 seconds on the clock. That's just a thought. I think Brooklyn won that trade, and the Brooklyn also gets Steph Curry, who's shooting like his brother Steph Curry. I think the Brooklyn Nets just got better. I mean, that's my opinion anyway, but Morey has wanted to get James Harden. They were together in Houston, had some magic down in Houston. We'll see what happens. But in my opinion, if you're James Harden, you just walked away from Kevin Durant, the best shooter in the NBA, even better than Steph Curry percentage-wise. That doesn't make any sense. I know sometimes people don't get along, and that's why Rodney King said, can't we all just get along? All's fair in love and war. You have Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle in the deal, and then you have, there's so many different reasons that I think, just my opinion, the Sixers have always been a title threat with Joel Embiid. But threats are just threats. When you have the best shooter in the league, that's Kevin Durant, that's like having Michael Jordan. How do you get better on your team but not having Michael Jordan on your team? And I think right now, when Durant's healthy, he's like Mike. He makes that much of a difference in a game. Even though Steph Curry has been to a final without Durant, he's been to 5 of them. But Durant's been to 4. And Durant and Curry played on the same team, Golden State. Durant was the finals MVP twice. I thought Curry should have been at least one of those, but it doesn't matter what I think. So for Harden, a driving force in the Rockets' execution, one of the worst trades in recent NBA history, when they sent Chris Paul, who played in the finals last year. That's another thing about James Harden. He's played with Chris Paul. Chris Paul played in the finals last year. Phoenix Suns have the best record in the NBA this year, maybe the best in the last 2 years if you look at them. Without Harden on his team, Chris Paul has excelled. Without Harden, I'm telling you, Durant, when he came to Golden State, he excelled. He did not get worse without Harden on his team. So how's Harden going to make Joel Embiid better? He's already played with the best player in the NBA, and they didn't win a championship together. And then Chris Paul, one of the best point guards, when he got away from James Harden, he went to the finals with another team. I'm not saying it's just a knock on James Harden, but maybe is it? You got to pass the ball around. Anyway, whatever it is, it is. It is what it is. You look at Oklahoma City Thunder in the exchange for Russell Westbrook. Just a year later, the relationship between Harden and Westbrook has deteriorated enough that the Rockets traded Westbrook to the Washington Wizards for John Wall, and then 2 consecutive downgrades at point guard. Harden then decided he wanted out of Houston, and we know the rest of the story. So now he wants out of Brooklyn. So will he want out of Philadelphia in 2 years? Who knows? But if you're going to play in the Eastern Conference and you got to go through Durant and now Giannis, Antetokounmpo, King Giannis, I don't know how Philadelphia made themselves a better choice to win an NBA Finals, but who knows? And then you have so many great players around the NBA that are happy or unhappy no matter where they went. I can't wait to see how it all shakes out because NBA basketball is fantastic, and we'll just have to see. You can bounce teams around and bounce players around. What does it really matter? But James Harden, when you think about it, he hasn't done it. Durant has. Chris Paul has. He's had both of those players as teammates. So hopefully Embiid is a teammate that will help Harden get happy and play better defense. I don't know. Kyrie Irving, if he gets vaccinated and plays in every game this season, does Harden still want out of Brooklyn? He's out now. But Kyrie Irving, whether he's vaccinated or not, they're about to lift the mandate anyway for a lot of people. I mean, that's up to the government. We'll see what happens. I know in California they're talking about lifting the mask mandate for people who are vaccinated. I don't know if the NBA is going to deal with that in a different way than the governments do in different states. I don't know. But if you think about this whole talk of they can't get along, man, a lot of guys don't have to get along to win games. But I also want to bring it out to the West Coast. Again, if you look at LeBron James, he's won NBA Finals in Cleveland, won NBA Finals in Miami, won NBA Finals in Los Angeles. He's a difference maker. He goes places and they win. Even more so than Durant. I mean, he's done it on different teams from coast to coast. Now, the Lakers, right now, a lot of people aren't happy with the Lakers. Just a few days ago, LeBron James, he went on record saying that he does not believe that his current roster is capable of reaching the championship level, and I agree with him. But can they reach the championship level as they get things worked out? The trade deadline is over. It's gone. But can you find a way to win in LA? They've always won in every decade, but they were unable to find anyone to take on Russell Westbrook, who makes about $40 million a year, $44 million, something like that. Now has been put on the bench doing crunch time. All he has to do is not shoot the ball, be a rebounder and a facilitator. But when they count on him to shoot the ball, drive the basket, get the foul. But think about it. They have so much to play for in Los Angeles. But this is probably not their year. There are a lot of deals that could have happened, but it didn't happen. The Lakers are playing probably some of their worst basketball since LeBron James has been there. I think it's just a matter of chemistry. They have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and just spend the extra time with Westbrook to help him become a facilitator. Because he still has that triple-double threat. Just has to drop to the basketball. When I look at the New York Knicks, when you think about the Knicks, they were the America's hot team last year, going to the Madison Square Garden, being knocked out by the Atlanta Hawks, and they were looking to make a deal before the trade deadline. Adding talent was not the cards. They at least wanted to offload some salary, but that didn't happen either. They'll take the same roster that's lost, I think, 10 of the last 12 games through the rest of the season, and they try to climb out of the 12th place in the Eastern Conference. A lot of it's going to be about chemistry. Can they find the chemistry? The Boston Celtics, the great late Johnny Moyes, the Boston Celtics did not make the best move of all. Brad Stevens, his first trade deadline in the front office was a success. Some people thought. Boston brought in Derek White, the type of player who seems like he'll thrive in supporting role on a good team. This is a team, if anything, they are going to be, they kind of are what they are. I think a challenge in the Eastern Conference, of course, the defending NBA champions, Milwaukee Bucks. I still like the Brooklyn Nets as long as if you have the best shooter in the world, I think Kevin Durant healthy. I even like Miami more than I do Philadelphia. Just a thought. Boston sent out Dennis Schroeder, Enes Freedom, and Bruno Fernando and brought back the old Celtic Daniel Theus. The Celtics could have maneuvered themselves out of the luxury tax while improving their team. That's difficult to do in the modern NBA era, but we'll see what happens to them down the road. They're still not a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, no matter what they do. You have the Dallas Mavericks. They provided the biggest, scratching your head moment, sending off Kristaps Porzingis to Washington Wizards, announced that Dallas will be getting Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans in return. They still got to get Luka Doncic to play better basketball down the stretch and get his teammates involved. But it's a head scratcher that Porzingis is no longer on that roster. I thought they had a lot of good things going that they could have really built on with that franchise, but I guess they decided to go in a different direction. All's fair in love and war, though. When I think about Luka Doncic, maybe he and Porzingis didn't get along. Why else would you let go of your second best player? I don't know. That's a head scratcher. But at the same time, you look at the Washington Wizards. The Wizards made perhaps the sneakiest splash of the trade deadline. They got Porzingis and a future second-round pick from the Mavericks. I don't know what Dallas was thinking. I know they have a lot of money down in Texas, but that doesn't make any sense. You got Porzingis and a draft pick for next year? A second-round pick for next year? How are you going to get better? It's all fair in love and war. But I think with Bradley Beal, a dynamic offensive 1-2 punch is what they had with Luka Doncic and Porzingis. Now they have that in Washington. A team I feel bad for, the Portland Trail Blazers. Dollar Dame trade rumors began last summer in the idea that it was able to put pressure on the Portland front office to help build a contender. About 6 months later, they now traded away C.J. McCollum, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Larry Nash Jr., and Tony Snell for what? Josh Hart? Eric Bledsoe? Justin Winslow? Keon Johnson? Joe Ingles, oftentimes injured? I don't understand what's going on in Portland, but I think Dollar Dame is watching that airplane take off. The plane, boss! The plane! The plane! The plane! The plane could have taken off for Dollar Dame 2 years ago. But for some reason, he's loyal to that area that's not loyal to him. Doesn't make any sense, but all's fair in love and war. I think if you look at overall how the NBA's responding to it, that Ben Simmons being traded to Brooklyn, I think it helps Brooklyn because he's not a shooter, but he's a great rebounder. He plays defense unlike Harden. Harden didn't play defense. Simmons is a better defender. And when you have Kyrie Irving and Durant to throw the ball to, you don't have to shoot the ball. So I think that helps. Just my opinion, if Durant is healthy, I think that helps him a lot. It really does, in my opinion. You just got to have Durant healthy. Now, New Orleans Pelicans, you have Zion Williamson going to play basketball again at some point. Got to get in a lot better shape than what he's been in now. But that's a team that still, they got to do something before I get happy about them. Williamson and Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum, nothing to write home about and be happy about. You got to show me first on that one. But I do kind of like, for L.A., you would have thought the Lakers. But the Clippers, they were already, in my opinion, in playoff position despite 0 games from the clock, Kawhi Leonard, an injury-plagued season from the great King Paul George. They beefed up the roster by adding a wing scorer in the great Norman Powell. I'm telling you, they have Robert Covington. They have an acquisition that works in the short term. The Clippers, but they will never be LA's best team. They're like Chicago to New York, the second city. But the Clippers I think they've done a good job in they're already in playoff contention. They were also able to cut $30 million off the luxury tax bill to create a trade exception by jumping into a 4-team deal that sent Serge Ibaka to the Milwaukee Bucks, which makes Milwaukee much, much stronger. And it was a great deadline for the Clippers also. Now, the Sacramento Kings, to get rid of Halliburton and also Buddy Hield, those 2 stars, I don't know how that makes them better. I know they have Sabonis, but he's not a better player than Hield and Halliburton, what they could have built. To me, Buddy Hield and Halliburton could have been like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I'm not saying the same level, but maybe second city. Like Sacramento's a second city to San Francisco, in my opinion, as far as NBA franchises and so many other things. But the Kings made a bizarre move by trading away 21-year-old Tyrese Halliburton, who had a superstar written all over him. By far their best asset, already one of their most efficient offensive players. Halliburton looked like the Kings' future. Maybe even what Chris Webber was. But they got rid of him. Doesn't make any sense. De'Aaron Fox sidelined recently in his ability to knock down 3-pointers and got teammates involved. I just going to have to see what happens with the Kings. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But they have an all-star with De'Aaron Fox, and making a push for the playoffs in the near future. I thought with Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Fox, they would have made a chance of push for the playoffs. But Sacramento already had a solid starting center, and Rashawn Holmes, who did not get traded at the deadline. Halliburton is talented enough to make a deal look extremely short-sighted. In a couple of years, I'm telling you, Halliburton's going to be a star. Now, Marvin Bagley III, everybody deserves a fresh start. He's had a lot of injuries. And Bagley finally got the chance to get what he feels is a better opportunity for him, being traded. He could have been picked. I mean, he was picked ahead of Luka Doncic and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Trae Young. But he had some injuries. And also a franchise that's just bounced around with different coaches. But going to Detroit, will that make him better? I don't think so. But at least he's on a team that doesn't have to come through the West to try to get into the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But Porzingis, I think, is the biggest shocker on the move with the Washington Wizards. The Mavericks seeming the big man to send him to Washington, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But hey, I'm not the owner of the team. They decided what they wanted to do. I love what the NBA's done. There's a lot of things going on. Now, Harden opts out of $47.3 million. Who would do that? He must be sitting pretty good to opt out of $47.3 million. But he has plenty of money, and he'll have more money coming in. I'm telling you, what a great package, in my opinion, for Brooklyn. It's a great deal. It's a great timeout. I look at the Suns and the Pacers. They made a big deal. The Suns have their best record in the league, but that doesn't mean they're going to stand and just kind of let things go. According to some news out there, they are finalizing a deal to send Torrey Craig to the Suns for Jalen Smith and a future second-round pick. They're in a good spot, the Phoenix Suns. I really love what the NBA is. It's the only sport that can really pull attention away from Super Bowl 56 in beautiful Southern California, and they did it on a Thursday. Isn't that something? So the NBA is fantastic. It doesn't compete with the NFL ratings-wise, but it does a lot for them. But look at what Brooklyn's done. The Nets have broken up the Big Three in a blockbuster deal on Thursday that sends Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and a pair of first-round picks to Brooklyn. That's building for the future. Well, if only the Lakers could have been that prescient. When you think about it, they may not even be done. So we'll see what happens. They just got to get Kevin Durant healthy, build a team around Kevin Durant, and it's going to make their opportunities to win a championship a lot stronger. But I still like what the Milwaukee Bucks are looking like. Can't wait to see what happens tonight when they take on the Phoenix Suns in the Valley of the Sun. So for all the players of the NBA that had a great trade and a great destination, I want to give you all some praise. May you all get the Big T Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all the exotic meats. And you also get some coffee to go along with that Big T Burger. It even kind of makes tonight's schedule for the NBA playoff, not even the playoffs yet, but teams that improve their chances of playoffs a lot brighter. I really like what Brooklyn was able to do. Tonight's NBA schedule, not a big one, February 10th. Memphis is at Detroit. You have Brooklyn at Washington. What a big name. I mean, that's already on TNT. Miami's at New Orleans. Toronto's at Houston. The LA Clippers are at Dallas without a Porzingis. The game I want to see, there's two of them. The New York Knickerbockers in Northern California at the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors got to get their groove back after losing their winning streak against the Utah Jazz last night. That happens in the Wasatch Mountains in Utah. Jonathan Mitchell got a hold. Rumor had that Jonathan Mitchell got a hold of the Big C coffee. It only came in one size, extra large. He was dropping extra large buckets against Golden State last night. The game tonight is a rematch of last year's NBA Finals. That's on TNT. It tips off shortly. The defending NBA champion, Milwaukee Bucks, at the defending Western Conference champion, Phoenix Suns. It is must-see TV down in the desert. You know, how do you cook a buck? You got to turn the heat up high. And they're going to have to turn the heat up high to knock off the Milwaukee Bucks. When you have King Giannis Antetokounmpo dropping 44 points on the Los Angeles Lakers at Crypto.com Arena, he could have been paid in Bitcoin. He was scoring so hot. All's fair in love and war. Really looking forward to the NBA season after Super Bowl 56 is over. And the Super Bowl 56 it has so much getting ready for it. It's exciting. But it did. If anything could knock off the Super Bowl media machine that has been, it's the trade deadline for the NBA. And that to me is the only thing in the news that could knock it off. And they did it. So when you look at Super Bowl 56, and we have coming up just a few more days away, one of the best ideas that people can think about is going to beautiful Los Angeles for the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 56. It's going to be about 75 to 80 degrees on Super Bowl Sunday. Nothing new for Los Angeles, but for you people on the East Coast, sorry. It's all fair, love, and war. I think about it. This is a game where you have the Rams. They have to win the hearts of LA back again because they were in Los Angeles and they left Los Angeles, the Coliseum, and went down to Anaheim. And then they left Anaheim and went to St. Louis. And then they left St. Louis and went to Inglewood. Rumor has it they may end up in Oakland next if they don't get a stadium deal. Or more concessions from SoFi Stadium. That's just a joke. They're not going to Oakland. But when you think about it, people said they wouldn't go to St. Louis. But I go back to the Bengals. They've been in the Super Bowl before. They lost 26-21 to the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and that was amazing. That was down in Miami. They also lost with the Icky Woods show when they played the game up in Detroit when the Niners beat them earlier in the 1980s and won that game. It was 20-16. San Francisco won that game. But it's a great game. I love NFL football. Everybody has the story of what will the Rams do there at home. LA is a front-running city. They want winners. You want winners. They want people who want to win. Makes it tough for the Lakers. Will the Lakers have to start giving away tickets? I doubt it. They're gonna keep fans coming in. But there's something about this game that I love. If you're thinking about it, in Super Bowl 56, when the season began, a lot of people thought it was going to be the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Green Bay got blown up by New Orleans. But they still finished with the #1 record. Even though the Tennessee Titans finished with the #1 seed in the AFC, I don't think anyone thought the Tennessee Titans was going to get there. But the Rams, I remember the Rams got blown up by San Francisco 31-10 up in Levi Stadium back on November 15th. And then they had a 17-point lead and they got beat 27-24 by the same 49er team. They had lost 6 in a row. This is the team that lost to Green Bay on the road. And then they got blown out by Arizona at home. So they're kind of I know they're the favorite in this game, but they also have some big losses. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, they lost the game to the New York Jets. Think about that. How they lose to the Jets. They also got beat by the 49ers. They got beat by the Green Bay Packers. So how did they end up here? Because the Kansas City Chiefs forgot how to make good plays on football on a Sunday of the championship game. But there's something about these two great teams. I know they want to build it up about Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow. But this game is about defenses, in my opinion. Defense does win championships. But also, that may not even be true. Because the Tennessee Titans sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. And they threw 3 interceptions and they lost that game. The 49ers, they held the Rams to 7 points through 3 quarters. And they ended up losing on a field goal, 2017. Does defense win championships? It wasn't the defenses that Cincinnati used to beat Kansas City. It was some poor play by the Kansas City Chiefs. That's why they're not playing at Super Bowl 56. Had nothing to do with the defense of the Cincinnati Bengals. No matter what people feel, I know that it's consensus that the Rams have the better defensive line. I think about Von Miller. That good boy was the MVP of Super Bowl 50 up in San Francisco, Santa Clara. I remember that game. He got the Cam Newton, the NFL MVP Cam Newton. Well, Joe Burrow's not an NFL MVP. Von Miller's going to get at least 2 sacks in this game. You know, Donald's probably going to get 2 as well. I think the Rams are going to get the Burrow about 5 times in this game. Kansas City got to him also. They just couldn't wrap him up. But something tells me it's the year of the Tiger. On paper, it looks like you got Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., you got Jamar Chase, you got Dixon in the backfield as big-time playmakers for Cincinnati. But I think it reminds me the greatest show on turf, and the Rams they lost to the New England Patriots with a last-second field goal. And this game feels like that same kind of game. There's no rhyme or reason that Cincinnati would be here. I'm going to go into my picks tomorrow. But they got here because, just a thought, they had the Raiders at home, beat the Raiders, but the Raiders was knocking on the goal line. Carr threw an interception, last play of the game for the Raiders. Cincinnati also had a touchdown pass when the refs blew the whistle and they kept playing. And they go on the road, and Tannehill had a bad game. And so they advanced to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes had a bad game, maybe his worst playoff game ever. And now Cincinnati's here. The Rams, they blew out Arizona. Made Kyler Murray have a bad game. And then they were holding on by the skin of their horns versus the 49ers. In the fourth quarter, they made Jimmy Garoppolo have a bad game. And now, if they're going to win it, it's going to come down to win it in the fourth quarter. That's their choice. That's their hope. Because they can force things to happen. And they're a very good football team. It's going to be Sunday, 6:30 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on NBC Sports at SoFi Stadium. Right now, the Rams are still a 3.5-point favorite. And I don't know. Las Vegas makes money on figuring out how things are done. I just don't know how to pick this one. I know the Rams look like the better team, but every team that Cincinnati played looked like the better team. I guess we'll have to wait tomorrow to find out. You can find out all the time, find out back in the day. There's a man by the name of Drew Bernini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right hand, man. He always told Ali, you flow like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble, with all you've got to use after you lose. Ali would say, I'm so pretty I can't possibly be beat, because all these Big C burgers make me light on my feet. That's why I rumble, man. I'm always rumbling. My beautiful mother always says, there's no excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.